Oh, STRV. 50-50 game. He's under pressure. No shots. He's going to have to come out from around the corner. Okay. Need to readjust. So, I'm on the move. Is he coming? Oh, he's disappeared. Oh, he's pushing the wreck. On the move. Fire. Still on the move. Haven't stopped moving. Full size reticule. Oh dear. Yeah. Oh, Artie. Hi folks, and welcome to the Ace Tanker for the Panzer IIIK, well, I won't say it's another Tier 5 German premium medium tank, one of many, and this is the worst. I thought maybe that the Turan 3 was going to be the worst Tier 5 German premium medium, but no, the Turan 3 prototype is not. This Panzer IIIK, K stands for Krupp, although I would say it stands for crap. This is the worst Tier 5 German premium tank in the game. In fact, it's one of the worst Tier 5 premium tanks ever released by Wargaming, and they released it regardless of the fact that they first developed this tank about 18 months ago, and they gave it to the super testers, and the super testers said it was shit. Sorry for the bad language, I apologize, but that's just how I feel about the tank. The super testers said it was crap. So they didn't release it. Wargaming didn't release it, but they didn't buff it. And then about 8 months ago, they gave it to the community contributors to try out. And some of the community contributors played it and said it was crap. But Wargaming didn't release it, but they didn't buff it. And then on the 1st of December, they decided to give it to the general player base for real money, and it's still crap, and it still hasn't been buffed, and it's one of the worst tanks Wargaming have ever released, and it's just ridiculous. But I'm going to be reviewing this tank. It led to a huge rant on Facebook on the day this tank was released, because, you know, Wargaming claim that they listen to their communities, but it's only if the community complains long and hard and in enough numbers and vote with their wallets and don't buy tanks if they're pissed off with Wargaming. Unfortunately, you know, Wargaming don't listen to their player base unless it's going to cost them money, but they release this tank regardless for real life money, and because it's only a tier 5, not enough people complain. But it is absolutely ridiculously bad, even though it's already been through super test and been through the community contributors, and they both said it's terrible. But it's just a terrible tank. You know, normally I'll go into the history, but I'm going to be reviewing this tank, and it's going to be so hard to keep my, not lose my temper when I'm reviewing this tank. But basically, it's a Panzer III hull with a Panzer IV turret, and it was designed to come with the 75mm that came with the Panzer IV turret, but it didn't. In the end, it was only fitted with a 50mm, and only 50 of them were built. Yeah, it gets the 75mm in game, which is not historically accurate, and it's just not a very good tank. I mean, when we talk about strengths and weaknesses of a tank, we talk about, things that the tank is actually good at. When we talk about strengths, that's what a strength is. It's something the tank is good at. This tank has no strengths. None. This tank's strengths are simply average for a tier 5. The DPM. Oh, the DPM is a strength. It's exactly the same as the Panzer IV-H. It's only slightly better than the Hydrostat or the T-25. So the DPM is not a strength. It's average. The view range, people say the view range is a strength for this tank. It's not. It's average. It's just average. It's the same as so many other tier 5 mediums in the game. It's not a strength. It's just average. About the only real strength this tank has is the hit points. You can see that the hit points are about 600 hit points here. So even that is less hit points than some of the tier 5 premium mediums like the T-25. So, the hit points. Okay, the hit points are quite a strength for the tank, but the camo is average, the terrain resistance is average, and other than the hit points, that's it. It's an average tank when it comes to strengths. And then that's even before we mention the weaknesses, because this tank is just so bad. It is just so bad. It only carries 40 rounds. It doesn't carry a lot of ammunition, so it's got the same problem as the Turan prototype. You can run out of ammunition in games. For some reason, it only has 40 rounds, which is absolutely ridiculous. The gun handling is the worst of any tier 5 medium in the game. The gun handling is worse. Oh, the turret traverse is worse than pretty much almost every other tier 5 medium in the game, with the exception of maybe the T25. The reverse speed is the worst of any tier 5 premium in the game, or any tier 5 medium in the game. It's got no reverse speed. Absolutely ridiculous reverse speed. The penetration on the gun, which, let's pop it up here. It's not popping up. Well, basically it's got 103 millimeters of penetration, 110 alpha on the gun. Now, considering that tier 5 Germans usually have about 110 millimeters of penetration, or maybe even slightly more, yeah, the penetration. You've got 103 millimeters of penetration, so the penetration on the gun is not good. So in addition to bad penetration, you also have bad gun handling. You know, and what this tank is, you know, when we get down to the brass tacks, what this tank is it's basically the tier 4 regular Panzer IV-D in-game. It's the tier 4 Panzer IV-D with worse gun handling, worse matchmaking, worse horsepower to weight ratio, the acceleration, the traverse speed, the reverse speed, they're all worse than the tier 4. It's just... It's a tier 4 tank, but worse than the tier 4 tank that's regularly available in-game, but it's at tier 5, and it doesn't get special matchmaking. It's a tier 4 tank that can see tier 7s. It's awful. I mean, it's worse than a tier 4 tank that can see tier 7s. It's just such a bad tank. And I really, it's so hard to talk about this tank without losing my temper, because Wargaming knew it was terrible. They've been told it was terrible, and they completely ignored all their super testers and all the coordinators, and they released it anyway. But we're gonna go. Oh, and now it's popping up. Oh, there we go. 103 millimeters of penetration, 110 damage. So T67 does a little bit of ram damage on me. So, don't know, the game sounds a little bit quiet. So am I going to change that? Just give me a second here. Alright, there we go. Alright, so game's a little bit louder. So yeah, we are here on a tier 6 game. I'm a tier 5, tier 6 game in a tier 4 tank, even though technically it's a tier 5 that's worse than the tier 4. You know, a lot of tier 6s on the enemy team. And this is the only, I will say that this is the only game I would classify as a good result. It's the ace tanker, but most games in this tank were absolutely garbage. The gun couldn't penetrate tier 7s. I was being outspotted. The armor isn't particularly good. The maneuverability is terrible. The reverse speed is everything is terrible. So this is a tank that can't play aggressively. It can't play passively. It can't play a sniper role. It can't play a support role. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to basically get some assistance damage. I'm spotting our team of Lemming trained the 9-0 lines, put the T-34-85 on fire. Oh, bounce, there we go. Crappy penetration, but we're auto-aiming, and, you know, going downhill, I suppose the speed isn't bad. Look how slow the reverse speed is. It's only got 12 kilometers an hour reverse speed. Most German tier 5 mediums have about 18 to 20 kilometers an hour reverse speed. This thing only has 12. So yeah, I'm trying to get assistance damage. I'm trying to spot. So not only am I trying to damage tanks, I'm also trying to spot and get assistance damage to try and boost the XP capabilities of this tank, because, as I say, there's no role for this tank. It's not a brawler. It's not a sniper. It's not really a frontline tank. It's so bad I can't even think of a role for this tank. But you know, okay, the DPM is okay for a tier 5 German. The DPM is okay, even though the gun handling is terrible. Although, because this is the ace, the gun handling is going to look a lot better. But you can see that the shot went a little bit high. I'm trying to go for engine shots or, you know, get another shot in. So the gun is actually doing okay. It's handling okay. And now there's a Hellcat, but we take out a KV-1S. And you could just see how slow the reverse speed is. And that shot in the move is incredibly lucky. That shot in the move is incredibly lucky. Look how big the reticule is when you're moving. Oh, ELC comes in, so okay, we got to accelerate. We're safe from the Hellcat. He spins around. He doesn't fire for some reason. We bounce him. We bounce the ELC. He hits our track, so we take him out. So we're on 2 kills, and we're up to 1,400 damage. Hooray! And then that T-67 who rammed me at the beginning comes in and rams me again. He must like me. He must like me. But there we go. Game is over. That's it. 1400 damage, and that's the best game I've had in the Panzer III crap. And it was an ace simply because I tried to play for assistance damage as well as trying to do a little bit of my own, and then of course we got a little bit lucky with, well, we got very, very lucky with shots on the move. We got a few shots into a tier 6 Hellcat on the move, and this tank is just terrible at shooting on the move. The gun handling is just so bad, so it was quite a lucky ace simply because the gun behaved, and normally it doesn't. But we did 1400 damage, tier 5, tier 6 game. And as I say, this is a tier 5, but it's actually a tier 4 tank, but it's even worse than the tier 4 that's in game. We got 1018 XP was enough for the ace, fired 14, hit 14, and pen 13. That is a miracle when it comes to this tank and its gun handling. As I say, it can't pen over distance, it can't even hit targets over distance. It just has no roll. It's just so bad, and I'm going to save all of that for a review, because even just talking about this tank is making me lose my temper. So we received 3 hits and we got penned twice. We actually managed to bounce a shot. That's rare. We spotted 4. Damage 5, destroyed 2, and did almost 1,000 assistance damage, and that's why I went into that position, playing aggressively. I was just sick and tired of trying to play this tank well. We just drove forward. The battle only lasted 3 minutes, and we earned 52,000 credits. So the credit earning, okay, credit earning isn't terrible. Okay, so if you have a game where you can actually do damage, then the credit earning isn't terrible for a tier 5, but it's a terrible tier 5. You know, ammo costs or repair costs, pretty much what you would expect from a tier 5 premium. So 1527 overall with a premium account, left me on 2138. Wasn't my first game of the day. I was playing it on the day the tank was released, but this tank, just avoid it, guys. This is one of the worst premium tanks Wargaming have ever released. Do not buy it. If it becomes available in the future, don't buy it. It's got so many problems, and all those problems were highlighted 18 months ago, and Wargaming ignored them. And the problems were highlighted 8 months ago, and Wargaming ignored them. So now we've got this tank that was available and will be available again in the future, I'm sure, but don't touch it. Don't touch it, not with a 10-foot pole, unless it gets significant buffs all round. As I say, the tier 4 Panzer 4D is a better tank at tier 4 than this is at tier 5, and this sees tier 7s, and yeah, it's a joke. Alright guys, that was the first ace. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.